There you go.
All right, so we are good. All right, everybody, welcome to our new-ish studio. We are here at SNSN Studios in Jewett City, Connecticut, and you are tuned into Just a Guy with a Beer. This is episode number 14, and I have my new friend Pete Helms. He's from Ideal Solutions, and we've kind of formed a new little thing called the Helms Media Group, and we have some really exciting stuff coming. And I brought him on tonight. We can talk a little bit about that. We can talk about pretty much anything we want to talk about here. It's kind of wide open. I'm not limiting myself to uh, fake news, Rocky, or sports. So welcome. Thanks for joining. It's another Monday night, and here we are, Just a Guy with a Beer. Welcome to the show, Pete.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm really excited about everything we've been talking about over the last week and a half or so. If you follow the other podcasts in the group, Do Not Sports and News Rocky, and if you follow here on the station SNSN, you've been hearing a lot of talk about what we're doing here. So Pete's here to tell us all about it, what our plans are, how we're going to do this, and how we're going to have fun at the same time, because I think this is kind of a pretty cool thing that we're going to be doing. We're getting like the best of the local guys in, and we're doing our own thing, and I think it's kind of neat.
Yeah, me too. That's just it right there. That's what we're doing, is getting some local guys together who just happen to be, premier content creators. I was kind of watching and listening to you guys, and I just noticed that you just had it. You had the drive, the passion, the good content. People were responding, and I was like, man, how can I contribute? Some conversation started, and here we are. Now we're actually making this happen.
This is awesome, and I'm pretty excited about it because, like most people know that watch my show, I kind of started this off right here in this actual spot was my first live broadcast.
No way.
My first 3 broadcasts I did here right in the studio. It was just me and my friends. We'd come in here and we were bullshitting and just talking about whatever. And we were kind of goofing off. My buddy Ted walked in with a Patriots hat on. Mike brought a street performer in, and he started playing guitar right in the middle of my show. So it was kind of almost like the Gong Show in here for a few weeks. But it was fun. But I really I had a lot of fun doing it. And I was kind of sad every week at the end when it was over. I was like, wow, I really want to do another show. Like I felt compelled to do more. But then as I started doing it more, I realized it's not as easy as just picking up the microphone and talking, because I tried doing a solo show and that lasted about 20 minutes, because it's really hard when you're by yourself. If you don't have lots of things to talk about, and it's all about show prep, which I'm slowly learning. I'm getting, drinking from a fire hose, basically trying to figure out how to do this. But,
I love
talking
that
about
phrase, man. I
yes.
love that phrase, the visual that comes along with it. And I definitely feel like that sometimes. Drinking from a fire hose is
yes.
spot on.
Yeah. And it's like, it's a lot of fun, but it's hard work. But when I get to come on the air and then I get feedback from people that watch the show and they're listening to the show, and I'm getting emails from Buzzsprout saying, hey, you got 200 downloads. Hey, you're at 300 downloads. That makes, all right, cool. And that gets me motivated to see, I go on and I look every Tuesday when I upload my stuff. I look at the stats and I see, I had people listen in Belgium. That was kind of cool. It was my first international, besides Canada. I mean, Canada doesn't really. It's not. It is international, but it's like our next door neighbor, right? Yeah. It's not. You're not walking across the street to Belgium. So I had someone from Belgium, and then I have people all over the country listening to in Oregon and Florida and Tennessee, and it's cool to see all the different places, and that keeps me going. It makes me more ready to go. And now when I'm here with you and I've signed on with you, I feel like we can take that and I'll see more of that. I'll get more people and I can get more people on the show. You know what I mean? So it's super exciting, man. That's something
Belgium is Belgium. I don't know a whole lot, not as much as you do about beer, but isn't there like a really, popular beer from Belgium?
Yes. There's a whole bunch of,
or like a whole style of beer?
Yeah, it's a Belgian wheats. Like they were very like the monks. They make the beer in the monasteries, and it's very super popular. Like I was one of my favorite non-American Pilsner type beer, like not something that wasn't Budweiser. When I came in the Navy and I started going overseas, I learned quickly that you should not drink American beer when you're in foreign countries, because It is totally not worth it the next day because they put a lot of formaldehyde in the beer when they brew it, and to keep it
Wait,
fresher.
formaldehyde, isn't that what they put in dead bodies?
Yes, and you feel like
It's in
that the
beer.
next day. You feel like a dead body. Like I learned very quickly. Like
Man,
my first time ever out in a foreign country. It was in Germany. It was in Bremerhaven, Germany. I was on the USS Sea Devil, and we pulled into a port in Bremerhaven, Germany. And I was 18, man. I was like, this is the greatest thing of all times. I mean, here I am. I'm 18 years old. I just traveled across the Atlantic Ocean, up through the Arctic, into the Barents Sea on a submarine, right? And here I am, 18 years old, not even out of high school a year. And here's Germany. And they're like, okay, guys, have at it. And it was like, I was like a kid in a candy store. So I tried to drink all the beer in Germany on the first day. And I was like, I'm not drinking this German beer because, I'm an uncultured American swine. I want Budweiser, man. Give it to me. Well,
is it really warm? I've heard that they drink warm beer.
you could, yes. So they have like cask beer. You can get warm beer if that's your thing, but it's chilled. You know what I mean? Like 38 degrees is the ideal temperature for a beer, but if you get it around 56 room temperature, that's like when you go to Scotland or England, you want to drink a Guinness, you should drink a Guinness at room temperature.
Got it. That's why I'm on here with the beer guy, because I don't know all this stuff.
But yeah, listen, I tried all the German beer after that because I bounced back way quicker than I do now from a night of drinking American beers in foreign countries because, like I said, it has formaldehyde and it's the worst hangover you've ever felt in your life. It's literally like someone smashed you in the head with an axe. But I mean, like I said, I bounced back. I drank a bunch of water and I was ready to go again the next night, but I was a lot smarter about it. And I went and, tried the local stuff. So that was kind of like an educating experience for me. And then going to different countries, you find out the different European styles, because they have, Hefeweizen, and you have the Pilsners. The Germans make a great Helles. The Germans make the best beer outside the United States. Germans make the best beer in the world. I know the British people will probably say, "Oh, that's us." And Canada, you're not even in the conversation because Canadian beer is terrible. Right?
I've never even heard of Canadian beer.
No, it's Molson, Labatt's.
Oh, actually, maybe I have. Yeah.
I think Canadians like Labatt's. That's their thing.
Got
Molson. I've been to Canada a few times, and they drink like Moosehead. It's just not good beer. So I'll drink it, right? But it's just not. It's not. I do not prefer Canadian beer, but they like to say that they have good beers. But no, nothing can touch us here in the United States with mostly everything. The same thing. Germans make good cars and good beers, and good food. So that's how I got into learning how to do beers and everything. And here I am 32 years later, and now I have my own show about beer. So a lot of studying has gone into that.
Yeah, I didn't even know there was so much to know about it. I started just kind of doing some Google searches.
Yeah.
Especially when craft beer came about, it's probably been about a lot longer than from when I heard it, but a few years back it became, a thing.
Super popular. And
really
you see breweries popping up all over the place now.
Everywhere.
New England is like the hot spot. Like I have friends that live in Raleigh, North Carolina, and they say they have some great beers there. And when they come to visit, they bring me some, and there's some great beers. I got to get down there. But I still challenge anyone to say that any geographical area in the United States has better beer than New England, right? Connecticut, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, kind of, but Vermont and Maine, no one could touch Vermont and Maine. I don't care what state you're from. California has some great beers too, but Vermont and Maine cannot be touched as far as craft beer goes. It is not. The IPA is kind of taken over. Like every brewery wants to make an IPA, right? Because you have different styles of IPA. You have American IPAs, you have doubles and triples. You have sour IPAs, black IPAs. There's just so many different styles. New England IPAs, which is my personal favorite. But it's nice to have variation. I was having a conversation with my buddy Fred about he homebrews, and he posted a meme the other day about every brewery in America try making some other flavors of beer. And breweries that tend to last longer will have variety, right? Everyone, because the IPAs are popular, right? People are going to buy IPAs. They're going to be your high sellers. But you have to have some variety. You have to have have a stout, have a Helles or something lighter, a Pilsner, something
or a Belgian
lighter.
white, right?
Or have a Belgian white.
Yeah.
Those are great beers. And America is just kind of coming around on the Belgian whites. My first Belgian white outside of Europe was, I can't believe I'm going to say this on the radio. I had a Blue Moon.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, it's terrible. I know I can't. I mean, I'll drink it if someone
what's the
says.
other one with the orange?
That's Blue Moon.
Oh, it's Blue Moon.
Well, you have Shock Top.
Shock Top.
Yeah, that's. I mean, in the craft beer world, we call those shelfies. And I don't want to. I have a book in here about being a beer snob, but I mean, I try not to be a beer snob because people like what they like.
Yeah.
And I told somebody when we discuss these kind of things about, beer shaming. At the end of every show, I end with "Don't beer shame your friends." I always say I liken it to your beer habits to your iPod. What's on your iPod? Like you look at my iPod, you'll find
what's on it.
Wu-Tang,
yes.
Biggie, but then the next song will be like ear-splitting death metal. You know what I mean? I got Behemoth on there, things that would be like when you're finished listening to it, you got to walk across the street and go to church. But then you'll hear New Kids on the Block, right? That's the same kind of thing with beer, right? Because people like what they like. I am not ashamed to drink a Coors Light.
Yeah.
I went to we had a boat parade here in Mystic a few weeks ago, and we didn't bring enough beer. And we did bring enough beer, but we didn't bring enough beer. So we ended up at the end of the parade, we ended up going out to Sandy Point in Stonington with some other boats, and they had Coors Light. She's like, I don't know if you want this. It's Coors Light. I'm like, just give it to me. Beggars can't be choosers, man. You drink what you got.
Yeah.
But I'm not ashamed. I mean, it is what it is. It's beer. So
I like the analogy of the music. I'm similar in that way where, look, if I can hear the talent, right? If I can hear the art that was put into it, the effort, I'm on board with it. I'll listen. I'll enjoy it. It doesn't matter what the genre or whatever it is. So yeah, I like that analogy.
It is good. And I have teenagers, so I get to hear all kinds of stuff. And actually, my 13-year-old daughter, she's into. My kids both listen to hip hop, the new mumble rap we call it.
Yeah, mumble rap.
Some of it's okay. I like Travis Scott and I like Migos. Yeah. Some of the stuff is good, but some of it is just terrible. But the other night I heard some 90s music coming from somewhere. Now I have my neighbors, they listen to the same kind of.
So tell me about the 90s hip hop. I'm all about it.
The 90s hip hop is more. I mean, obviously.
Yeah.
You watch my show,
Presidents are forever. Oh wait, presidents are temporary. Wu-Tang is forever.
So I got Biggie on my glass. I am all about the 90s rap. It's my favorite genre.
Conscious rap.
Yes.
When it actually meant something.
When it told a story.
Yeah.
Right? Because nowadays it's the same. They repeat the same things over and over again. And it's always, I remember the first time I ever heard NWA. Mm-hmm. That was the first time I ever really heard vulgar hip hop music. And I was like, what is this? In fact, the first time I ever heard it, we were tailgating for the Daytona 500. I was on my first submarine and we had a break and we went to Daytona to go see the 500 on a whim because I was living in South Carolina. Yeah. So we just drove down there and we were in the parking lot tailgating and my buddy's like, oh, you got to check this out. It was a cassette and he popped it in. I'm like, what is this? And I was like, I don't know if I should be embarrassed to listen to this or am I completely awestruck? But it turns out I loved it. But it wasn't the same as even in the 80s because I grew up, I'm an 80s kid.
Yeah.
I grew up listening to Run DMC, Kool Moe D, EPMD, guys like that. And they didn't curse. And you know what I mean? You didn't hear
there's a message
that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
across.
Exactly. There was an art form that they were trying to build a platform to reach people and with a conscious message.
Yep. Public Enemy, all those bands and, all those groups listen, those hip hop groups, Tribe Called Quest.
Yeah.
Didn't really hear the kind of stuff that you hear now because, we were in the car and my wife, I can almost see her turning red because listen, our kids listen. We don't tell our kids you can't listen to that because they won't make it a big deal if you don't make it a big deal. And they know it's just music. I mean, obviously my 5-year-old is not going to listen to WAP, right? So
no, that's not hip. I don't know what
that's garbage. Yeah. So, I mean, but hey, people like it. And obviously it's the number one song in America, which says a lot about us, right? I saw a thing on Facebook the other day. It said,
where have we gone?
A year ago, we were complaining that Baby It's Cold Outside was offensive. But then the number one song in America right now is about a wet ass
possum.
So yes,
macaroni in a pot type of thing.
It's terrible. So
I like macaroni though.
yeah, I guess that song is like it's blown up, and I listened to it, and it's absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
I gave it a chance because I'm on this new thing now. I turned 50 recently, and I've been on this kick where I'm just gonna just things that I've always shunned before. It's just insulted people for doing, like pineapple on pizza. I insulted people for putting pineapple on pizza. I shamed them. So you know what? We had on my first great debate. Actually, my second great debate. My first one was with Ray and Chris, and we did quarterbacks, great quarterbacks. But
Yeah.
my second one was, do you put pineapple on pizza? And it was probably a 50-50 split, and maybe a little bit more towards the side of people that like pineapple on pizza. So I have a lot more uncultured friends than I thought. So, and anybody from New Jersey,
Yeah.
I know what the answer from that was.
No,
From anybody from back home, nobody puts
No
pineapple on pizza. In
no.
fact, so I went out and I went down the street to Sorrell's with the family one night, and I said, "Oh, Bert, give me a pizza with pineapple on it." And he was like, "What?" I said, "Yeah, let's do it, man." So I tried to put everything else. I put bacon on it, and I wanted jalapenos, but he didn't have any. But it was terrible.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it again.
I don't feel like it's meant to be. Like, look, it depends. I'll try it. I'll get in the mood for things that are different like that from time to time, but it's definitely not my go-to.
It's not. I mean, if I went to a party and they had pineapple pizza, and I would look at it probably, and then if that was the only thing they had, I'd be like, all right, I'm not going to insult anybody, but I'm down to try anything now. Like I was saying before the show came on, we were talking about coffee.
Yeah.
And being a Navy guy, coffee is a big part of my life. I lived on nicotine and coffee for many, many years. Especially hot black coffee was my favorite. But then as I got older, I started to get a little more cultured. Like I'm not a big Starbucks guy at all. I'm a Dunks guy. I'm Dunks forever. But I started getting into other stuff. I like Black Rifle coffee.
Okay.
It's one of my favorite coffees.
Yeah.
So if anybody from Black Rifle is listening, please sponsor my show.
I just found Valhalla coffee.
I love Valhalla coffee.
That's pretty good too.
Yeah, I like Death Wish coffee as well.
Wish,
now they have Death Wish
coffee.
I haven't seen that one. Death Wish is they have it at Big Y now.
No way.
In the coffee aisle. But everybody always drinks iced coffee, and I was like, that's disgusting. Why do you drink iced coffee? Because now to me, I would always see a cup of coffee, and if the cup wasn't still warm, I wasn't drinking it, because if I took a sip of ice cold coffee, it made me want to vomit. It's so gross. So, but I guess the iced coffee experience is a lot different than just a cold cup of coffee. I refuse to believe that. So for a long time, I was like, psh. So one day it was just my wife and I, we had dropped my son off at practice a few weeks ago at soccer practice, and we went to Dunkin' Donuts, and I ordered an iced coffee, and she was like, "You just order iced coffee?" I'm like, "Why not? Let's do it. And if I don't like it, you can have it." So, and I'll go back in line and get another coffee. Get iced coffee. And I have to say, I am exclusive iced coffee now.
Exclusive.
I occasionally I'll make myself a cup at home in the morning if I'm working from home. I might have a hot cup, but we brew like 2 or 3 pots and put it in a big pitcher and then put that in the fridge, and that's what my wife and I drink that. And my daughter has her own pumpkin spice. Kids, they think pumpkin spice is great. I did try pumpkin spice.
Yeah,
it wasn't terrible, but it's not something I want to drink all the time. So I did go to Dunks, and I went through and I tried all the flavors except for fruit flavors. Blueberry doesn't belong in coffee, and neither does raspberry.
No, I don't like the flavored stuff too much. Chocolate is like a natural flavor. I'll do that. But like all this other syrups, I'm not a really big fan.
I tried pumpkin spice.
Yeah.
It was okay. I tried the toasted almond.
Yeah.
That was okay. Coconut was trash. I didn't like it. But I might try the coconut with mocha. I might like that. But my favorite one is the caramel mocha swirl.
Okay.
If I don't get regular, I'll get caramel mocha swirl on the weekend. Say that for the weekends.
I remember before I ventured out beyond New England, I used to think America ran on Dunkin', because that's like the slogan, right?
Yes.
Dunkin' Donuts. And I started traveling a little bit, and I realized America doesn't even know what Dunkin' Donuts is.
I know. I remember going to Disney and like jonesing for Dunkin' Donuts. Now they're everywhere down there. Yeah. So it's whenever I go down, I just take a little ride outside the property and get some dunks, because I think Disney is sponsored by Starbucks.
Oh, that makes sense.
So when I'm down there, I'll drink Starbucks, but I don't really, if I have to, I'll drink Starbucks. That's all there is.
Yeah.
They do. The only thing I'll drink at Starbucks, really, I like their green tea,
Yeah.
green tea peach lemonade, whatever it is. It's like a mix of different things. It's actually really good. So
Starbucks had a really amazing like marketing strategy early on. What they did is they printed out a full page, full bleed or full page ad in the newspaper,
Mhm.
and they gave an offer of free cup of coffee. At this time, nobody even heard of Starbucks, didn't know what it was, and then they paid people to go and stand out in the street corner and give the newspaper out.
Hmm.
And they pointed out as they gave it out, like, look, free cup of coffee at this new place called Starbucks. Go to it. Next thing you know, their doors were just flooded with tons of
Wow.
new customers.
That's great. That's a great idea.
It really was.
Anybody, when I do eventually open up my own brewery, maybe I'll try that strategy. Not too much.
Yeah.
It's a little bit tougher to make beer than it is to make a cup of coffee, but I still have to grow the beans.
Yeah.
But that's actually pretty cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So
Loss leader strategy, right? That's what it is. You take a loss initially.
Yeah.
It leads your sales.
And they're doing, I mean, obviously they're doing well. I mean, the guy, didn't he sell the company for like $1 zillion?
Yeah, I think he did.
Now he's living on an island somewhere that he owns, probably. Goals. So yeah, that's really good, man. But I'm thankful for the beer community because the beer community has given me a lot of good friends. I've met a lot of awesome people, even just in the short time I've been doing my show. Right, I'm on episode 14.
Nice.
This time I've had on this show, I've made some really cool friends. People I kind of knew but didn't really know that I've gotten to know really well. And even over the time I've been drinking beer, because when you go out to a bar or you go to a brewery, obviously you're going to talk about the beer. So you talk about, I'm a pretty outgoing guy, so I don't mind talking to a stranger about the beer. You know what I mean? I'll say something, and I've made some pretty cool friends, and it's the craft beer community is pretty cool because it's like a family, right? And you find that with pretty much any industry. Like I'm sure, like the coffee people have other coffee shops that they go to, they'll push each other and they'll help each other. It's not really, it's competition, but it's not really competition. Like you're the competitor, but we're also friends because my two of my favorite breweries, Epicure and these guys who are sponsors of the show. Thank you guys. They're right next door to each other. They're like literally 40 feet away.
I feel like there's nothing really unique or special about, coffee because people aren't like making it. They're purchasing it from someplace, usually like this strip around the globe, around the equator. That's where they say the best coffee comes from, and everybody just buys their beans and they're competing on price. Who can get their beans at the best price? When it comes to beer, there is something unique and special about it because it's all about the craft.
Yes.
It's about the person who's brewing it.
Yes.
It's not so much about the price. And then the market sets the price on it and says, well, your craft beer is pretty amazing from your microbrewery. So I think that I'll be willing to pay, $10 a six pack. But for that stuff that came from the distributor, I'm only paying $4.
Right.
Or whatever.
You're absolutely right. Because, I have brewed before at home and it wasn't easy. It wasn't hard, but I brewed a case of beer. Like these people that are at these breweries, you're brewing cases and cases, gallons, hundreds of gallons of this beer. And it's a labor of love, but it's a lot of hard work because it's not just, throwing some stuff together and, making a beer. You have to like put a lot of thought into it. There's a lot of chemistry that goes into it, which I didn't know. Like the guys who own Tox Brewing in New London, those guys are chemistry dudes. They're all like chemistry, like degrees in chemistry. And if you go, I don't know if you've ever been there, like in the walls in the bathroom are painted with like the chemical breakdown of beer. I never knew that.
I didn't know.
And the person that actually educated me about how much difference your water makes in your beer. Like that's something you wouldn't even think of. Like, why can't I just put regular water? No, where you get your water from or what kind of water you put in will greatly affect the flavor of your beer. So I was talking to Aaron Simonacci, who's owner of Beard, one day when they first opened their little place in Stonington, and they're huge now.
Stonington, Connecticut?
Yes, Stonington, Connecticut. Now they're huge. They have a huge brand new place in Groton, Connecticut, down by the water, over by the airport. And he was the one that I went in there. I heard about the chemical process, the whole water breakdown. So I wanted to get somebody who knew, somebody that I respected because I loved his beer. So I went in there one day and I said, hey, talk to me about the water thing, man. And we talked 35, 40 minutes
Just about the water.
just about water.
Wow.
And about how the different types of water you use can affect the taste of your beer. And it's not just hops, and it's not just any other kind of flavor you put in. It's really the base of your beer is the type of water you put in. So I thought that was really cool, and it opened my eyes a lot more. It made me appreciate how much hard work goes into, some of the hardest work you do making beer is cleaning up afterwards because you have those big vats of beer.
Wait, like cleaning up the mess from drinking, or
Probably a little bit of both. But like the whole you get to clean the vats out. There's the residue, and then you have your leftover wort. Everything when you have your hops, your mash, everything like that gets out in your leftovers, and a lot of people sell it to farms for cattle feed. So, which is kind of neat. They give it to pigs or cattle. So I have a friend who has animals at his house, and he goes to Fat Orange Cat, and he gets their waste from brewing.
So wait a minute, can the cows get drunk off that?
No, it's not. It's not. It's no alcohol.
No
it's just the
alcohol in
waste. It's just the byproduct of the
Right.
brewing. So it's basically like all the hops and the mash. It's everything that's left over. They turn it into a solid, and then they give it out to the farms and the pigs and cows and horses. And my buddy goes and picks it up because he's on the way. It's on his way home. He passes Fat Orange Cat and he brings it home to his farm.
Yeah.
So it's kind of neat.
When I hear about water and beer, I'm just coming in from this. Probably a lot of people out there the same way. They might be tuning in. They have an interest. They don't know a whole lot about it. And when they hear about water, it might be the same thing as myself, where I think of like light beers, right? And for some reason, I'm thinking light beers might have more water than like a lager or something, or a ale.
Right.
I could be completely off on that. Is that what's going on? Or?
Yeah, I mean it's all I mean different. Like there's so many different types.
Yeah.
Like we'll take for instance, I'll say Epicure. Okay, we'll go into Epicure and you look up on the wall and they have maybe 12 beers, and you look up there and like, man, like if you didn't know, you're new to this, like you were saying, like some people might just be new. You go in there and you just look up there and it can be a little overwhelming. Like, I don't know what will I like? Because now you think my wife would be smarter about beer? Like she is, but whenever we go to place, she's like, tell me what I'll like. I'm like, you can look up there and you know what you like. Like, why do you? I mean, I like that she leaves it up to me. It's kind of cool because I'm always right.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I'm ever right about because I know what beer she likes. But it can be a little overwhelming when you go into a brewery, and that's why I think it's cool. Like a lot of breweries you can buy a flight.
Yeah, I remember this.
Yeah.
I worked in Queens at a restaurant. We had like a flight. They said it would just be a run.
Yeah,
run
you get
down all the
5 different
tastes.
beers in their little 4-ounce glasses, and you can figure out which one you like from there, and then you can order one. So
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not big on that. If that's what they have, that's what they have. I'd rather just take my chances, like because I know what I like.
Yeah.
So I will say also that I've been also taking chances with beer. I'm not a stout guy. I'm not. After you've been to like England or Scotland and you have their stout, and you come home to America and you drink stout, it's not the same.
What's different?
Can't put my finger on it, but I will say that when you have a Guinness in England at room temperature, after your first one, there's a little circle on your top of your head that tingles. I can't replicate that here in America. I don't know what it is. I had a couple of warm Guinness in Portsmouth, England, and the top of my head started to tingle.
No way.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, but I'm not. So I don't like darker beers. I like lighter. I like sours, and I like IPAs. I like Helles. I like things like that.
Yeah.
American IPAs. But Epicure had this beer, and I was drawn to it by the name because sometimes I do that. Sometimes a catchy name or a catchy label, a can, will make me buy a beer.
Absolutely.
It's
good marketing.
Yeah, it's absolutely great marketing. Sometimes it's like roulette. You're playing beer roulette.
Yeah.
I'm buying this because the can looks cool. I'm hoping that it's going to be good beer. Saturday, I did that Saturday. I won't mention the beer company because that's not fair. I bought a beer on Saturday because I thought the can was cool. Not so much.
No way.
I'm not going to drink the rest of them. So I'm not going to say out loud. People that were there know. So I'll wait for someone to come over that doesn't really know beer that well, and I'll give them one. So I don't like dumping beers.
No.
throw them away. So I'll just give them to somebody that might like it.
Yeah.
So
Someone likes it.
yeah, someone will. I mean, obviously they're selling it. So, but I went to Epicure, did a show, and the sign caught my eye because it was the frame of the sign was the American flag, and it was called One for Chesty. Now, the story of Chesty Puller is the most decorated service member in the history of America. He had a ribbon rack like this, and they made a beer for him for the Irreverent Warrior Silky Hike last year.
Nice.
And it was a black IPA made with coffee.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it was like as dark as these guys growler there.
Now, what is this?
That's these guys. That's in that's Norwich. That's right across. That's right next door to Epicure.
Norwich, Connecticut.
Yeah, they are Norwich, Connecticut. They're also one of my sponsors. Thank you guys.
Yeah.
So
shout out to two guys.
These guys. Yes.
These guys brewing company.
Yes. I had Becca on the show. She's one of the owners. Her and husband Ray.
Cool.
They were on the show, and I also had Epicure on. I had Jobina and Rob Miller on. They're the owners of Epicure, and they're like right next door to each other.
Yeah.
And both of their beers are excellent. And when I was in there that night doing the show with Rob and Jobina, they were like, just try it. It was a black. I tried it on the air. I said, you know what? I'm going to go out of my comfort zone, and I'm going to try the One for Chesty.
What if it was not good when you tried it?
I would have played it off. But it is now, One for Chesty is now my favorite beer. So whenever I go in,
though, it just happens to be really good.
It's delicious. It's like it's dark, but it's still an IPA. But it has like a little bit of coffee. Like it's hard to explain. Like you get the coffee notes, but you're also getting that dark beer note on it too.
Like that nutty flavor.
Yeah, and it's not that boozy.
Yeah,
it's delicious, and it's like when I walk in there now and I get my mug, they already know what I'm ordering.
I'm talking about it as if like I've had a beer in any time soon, and I haven't. But I do remember.
I can't think of anything else to compare it to because again, I don't do a lot of the darker beers, but it's outstanding. It's my favorite. When I go in there, they know it's what I want. Now they also make another one called Damn Yankee, which is
love the name.
Yes. The can is what drew it to me again.
I've been called a damn Yankee.
Yeah.
You ever been down south or in Texas?
Or in England. In England, they'll call you a Yank. They call you a Yank.
A Yank.
Not a Yankee. Yank. Yeah. They call you a Yank. Yeah.
I've been called worse.
Those are fighting words over there.
They are.
Yeah. I can attest to this.
Wow.
I'll leave it at that. So yeah, I saw the can and it had a cool Patriot dude on it, and I'm all about everything Revolutionary War and anything with the whole Revolution era. And I saw the little guy on it. I'm like, I'm gonna try that because I knew it was Epicure, so it was going to be good. So I said, give me that.
Yeah. And
that's one of my favorite beers now. I always buy it when I see it. And it's hard to find in the stores, guys. So get some more out there. But it's another excuse for me to go down to Epicure and drink a beer out of my mug because I'm a mug club member at both Epicure and these guys. So mug clubs are pretty cool. I love them.
Now, is beer one of those things where you can, with wine, you can just kind of store it somewhere, let it sit, and it'll be good for years later, if not better? Is beer like that too?
Yes, but I will caution people, depending on what kind of beer. Like you want to drink a sour, right? Okay. You want to drink that as soon as you can, because the sour is most of them are fruited, and they'll ferment in the can. And
that wouldn't be good.
No, especially if it's a heavily fruited sour, and the can will literally explode. I've seen it. We've seen it happen before. So, but like it depends. Like I've had beers from Treehouse in my beer fridge right now that have been there since December, and I drank one early last week, and it was delicious.
Interesting.
I looked at the bottom. I'm like, whatever. So we have a thing, we roll them, right? Because there's a lot of sediment builds up on the bottom of the can.
Yeah.
And so you just roll it. So it's almost like pulp in the orange juice. Beer gets sediment. You get the yeast and the hops and the little unfiltered. It's basically the flavor of the beer.
I remember a beer one time that had yeast in it, and you had to do that.
Yes.
I don't know what beers called, but
those Belgian wheats, or a lot of those beers have it.
God.
And it's you can taste the wheat and you taste the yeast in those kind of beers.
And you can see the little chunk of yeast in there.
And you can see it. A lot of beers will have that. And it's like when I drink a beer, I'll rinse my can out, and there'll be like chunks of it coming out. It used to gross me out when I looked at my beer and I'd see floaties in there. I'd be like, oh no.
Yeah.
I dump it. But now I don't care. I drink it. It's the flavor.
Yeah.
So this tonight I brought this beer. This was sent to me by a good friend, my friend Jen in Florida. She's been telling me about how great this beer is for almost 2 years now. And every time I go down to Disney, I always stop at the local Packies and I try to find it. It's ZFG. It's from Hidden Springs Ale Works, and they are in Tampa, Florida. So I do have some Florida listeners there. So if you guys have ever had this, but
What part of Florida?
Tampa.
Tampa.
It's
Nice.
yeah. I'm showing my age here, and I'm holding it out like my mom does. It's Tampa, Florida, Franklin Street, Tampa, Florida. Hidden Springs Ale Works, brewed and canned. It's ZFG, and if you are familiar with the
Thanks,
ZFG, if you're familiar with ZFG, it's zero. We'll say this is a kid-friendly show, so we'll say zero farts given. That's why I learned. It's from zero IBU, which is the IBU. If you don't know what an IBU is, it's International Bitterness Unit.
I've
Which
never
is
even heard it.
so the higher the number, if you always say this is zero IBU, no bitterness at all. If you say something like Dogfish Head 120, their IBUs are over 100, like 110. So that means it's like super, super bitter.
Do some people like bitter beer?
My dad loves it.
Is bitter beer better?
It depends on what you like.
It could be.
So I am not. I like the lower number IBUs. I mean, some of that stuff puts hair on your chest for sure. But I want to enjoy something, right? If I want to do it, I don't want to have to make faces every time I take a sip of it. You know what I mean? It's like the first time you ever try Jägermeister or something like that, you're just like, it's an acquired taste.
Got it.
So this says zero IBU with Citra, Mosaic, and Mochica hops. So there's a million different variants of hops. Citra and Mosaic are kind of like probably the most popular. At least in my experience, people that brew would probably be able to give me more insight on that. But most of the beers I drink that's what it has. Like now there's like all kinds. There's like Australian hops in Idaho, and there's so many different kinds. And it's cool to find beers that have different ones you have never tried just to see the flavors. The only ones I really am not fond of are Simcoe hops because it tastes like you're chewing on a pine cone.
That doesn't sound fun. Pine cones.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Good night. Mike Minarski is walking out, so have a good night. Thank you, sir.
We're getting
see you tomorrow.
Messages from the Wizard of Oz.
The man behind the curtain is sending us messages. He's going home for the night. He's tired. So this is ZFG from Hidden Springs Ale Works, and I'm going to try it. So I promised Jen that if I didn't like it, I would not throw shade at her on air. But like I said before, I won't. I usually.
Well, everyone has a preference, right?
Yeah. I hope now. If wine people like to smell the cork.
Got it.
If there's a beer that I've never had before, the first thing I'm doing is smelling it. I like to smell and see because you get the fragrance. Like I can already smell this thing smells amazing.
You know, one of the things I always found strange when something doesn't smell amazing, how we're always like, here, smell this. This stinks.
Yes. Well, I don't know why. Well, I see now. I learned.
Like it stinks. I want you to smell stinky stuff too.
Right. So see, we're dudes, so we do that all the time.
Yeah.
So I kind of had to explain that to my wife when my son was very small. So if he ever says to you, smell this, don't do it. Right.
I'll take your word for it.
Because we know better, but we do it anyway.
Yeah.
Right. Because I mean, especially when you have kids, you don't want to let your kid think that you're some kind of wuss. So when he says, "Dad, smell this," you're like, no. So I'm like, all right, cool, let me smell it. But yeah, so I'm a firm believer. Sometimes I'm like, I had a beer Saturday night that smelled terrible, but it tasted amazing.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. I can't remember what it was because I had one or two on Saturday night.
It's like if you like stuffed mushrooms, they smell really bad.
They smell bad, but they taste so good. Yeah,
they can be so good.
Like same with cheese. Yeah, Munster cheese smells terrible.
Yeah,
Parmesan smells like really bad. Yeah, dirty socks. Yeah, but it's so good. Fresh Parmesan is so good.
Pecorino Romano.
Yes, yeah, that's good stuff. I like the blend. So my mom is like my mom's big into the cooking. So especially Italian food. Yeah, we're not Italian, but my mom is like an amazing cook, especially with Italian food.
When you're eating Italian food, everyone's Italian though.
Oh yeah, she like my grandma. My grandma, when my mom was young and my grandfather was over in the war, my grandma learned how to cook Italian food from, all the Italian ladies who all their husbands were off to war. And my grandma, to me, my grandma was like the most amazing, not just amazing person ever, but like the most amazing cook. Like my grandma never made anything that I didn't like ever. So, and I can Scout's honor, I will say nothing that my grandma ever made me, I refuse to eat. I would, if she went out to the field, took a pile of a cow patty, put it on the grill, flipped it a couple times, and gave it to me, it would probably be amazing because my grandma made it. So
put love in it.
Yeah, she did, and my mom obviously had that gene as well. So every time I go home, they always, where do you want to go to eat? I want my mom to cook because I don't get homemade. Not my mom's homemade cooking because my wife and I we cook for our kids, but like my mom kills it. So especially when she'll always make me homemade sauce. So
would you lay in your bunk on the sub and think about homemade food at times?
All the time.
Yeah.
But I will say,
I could imagine months in a submarine could be, oh my God.
I would say like it's the food on the submarine. Supposedly we get the best food in the Navy, but I don't know, man. If the rest of the Navy is eating worse than us, then I really would hate to see what the rest of the Navy is eating. Because listen, once like when I first came in, everything was in a can. Everything was dehydrated. Like we would, because everybody has to do a thing when you first come in. When you're, you got to earn your bones. You got to go, and you got to. They call it mess cooking, right? You're a food service attendant. So basically, you work in the galley, and you're basically the cook's bitch. You do everything. You do all the food prep. All they do is
like
cook.
A sous chef, or
no,
nowhere near that.
Worse than that. Like you're doing the dishes, you're cleaning. Yeah.
It's like a busser.
Yeah, you're cutting up the vegetables for the salads. Yeah. You're making the drinks, but everything is dehydrated, right? Because you're trying to make more food in less space.
Yeah.
So the first time I ever went out and I opened up a can and there was dehydrated shrimp in there, I was like, "What is this?"
I didn't even know you could do that.
You can.
I thought about the corned beef, the little corned beef in a jar. They call it something. I don't know.
Yeah,
we are a kid-friendly show.
Yeah,
so
I don't know what it was. It was there were some weird things though. Like I had like cubed beef, but it came in a can with like juice. And I mean, I would do anything on a dare, so I would drink the juice out of the can. Like if someone said, "Hey, I'll sign your qualification card if you drink this," then I wouldn't even question it. I'd be like, "All right, give it to me." What is it? I wouldn't even ask. I would just do it. So I ate some pretty crazy stuff. But as I got older and things got the military changes, it's like everything else, it just changes. We kind of contracted the food out for the Navy. So we would get like most of our meals we would get would be prepared already. So all really the cooks had to do was heat it up.
Zap it.
And,
that sounds good.
Not really zap it, but they still have to cook it.
Okay.
But it was like almost already prepared.
Like
not everything.
Boil in a bag type stuff. Or
maybe no, just on a way bigger scale. Yeah.
How many guys in a sub?
Depends. Like my last sub.
Say that. How many people in a sub?
Yeah, because right now we have women on submarine.
Yeah, there's women on subs too.
There are women on submarines, and they're doing a great job. There's a lot of angst among my fellow submariners. As I've been out for 8 years now, but I work around submariners every single day. I still work for the Navy, and I'm around. I mean, I don't work around seagoing submariners. I work in the shipyard where they're building the new ones, but their sailors are sailors.
My grandfather did 30 years in the Navy.
Really? That's pretty awesome.
He was in the Army first, did his tour, Vietnam, and then whoa.
Smells like orange juice. I'm not gonna lie, it smells pretty good. So that's pretty cool though. Is that the only person in your family, the only military in your family, or?
No, really just the only person who stuck with it though, made it a career. Really, he dedicates everything in his life to that. He says this is what made me. And his story is unique. He came here from Italy, 13 years old, on his own.
Wow.
Through Ellis Island, lived in a boys' home, escaped it. And
it's like a movie.
It's literally like a movie, his story. It's legit though. And then so
that's pretty good.
Pretty good?
That's good. You're off the hook, Jen. That's really good. So it almost finish your story.
Yeah,
so that's almost like I got the taste of a wheat beer almost, but then immediately went away and I got the Citra. That's pretty amazing. I really like that. So
she did good.
Good choice. And I'm glad I waited this long to actually have that beer on my show. So kind of cool.
Yeah.
So now you're saying it's your granddad's life was like literally a movie.
Like literally like a movie. I've sat down and listened to his stories, and I don't know how much of it is embellished, but even if it is, it just makes the story
That's what
better.
granddads do, though. Like
Yeah,
grandpas they embellish stories, man. Because I mean, someday I'm gonna be a grandpa. And I'm gonna be like telling my grandkids all kinds of crazy stuff.
he's like this tall. He's
Yeah.
Italian. Right?
Oh, nice.
Got 4 names.
Nice. That's pretty cool. But they're always like the coolest dudes in the Navy too, right?
Yeah.
Especially with the guys that have been around a long time, and they're always like the kind of guys like you kind of nestle up to. Like I always try to find whatever command I went to, even when I was a senior guy and I had been in a while. I did 24 years, and even towards the end of my career, I always try to find that one guy who was older, had been around a while, and you try to pick his brain all the time. You know what I mean? Not just about Navy things, but just like life in general. Because those dudes they've lived the life, man.
He definitely lived the life. I'll tell you what, I owe a lot of what I know to him.
Yeah.
Just watching him too. Not so much like him directly teaching me stuff, but just living by example.
Right. Sometimes the best mentors you have don't even know that they were your mentors.
Seriously.
Yeah. Because I mean, I can count probably 24 people that I've known over my career that, I mean, I've told them since then, but they never knew. And that always resonated with me because you always remember that somebody's watching. You know
Absolutely.
what I mean? Like, but I have kids. My kids are always watching. Kids, they see everything, no matter what we think. But it's always, like watching. Somebody's always watching you when you're doing something. So that's why I try to do everything the best I can, because I always want whoever's watching me to be like, "Oh, that guy's doing a great job." So it was just the Navy in general kind of taught me that skill, like just the whole people watching skill, I guess, because I've always been a people watcher. Me and my friends sometimes would go to the airport when we were kids, to the Newark airport with his dad to pick up his airplane tickets when he traveled. And this was maybe mid 80s, I guess. So it was before 9/11. So it was not the restrictions that we have now. So we could go to the airport and walk right up to the ticket counter and buy a ticket and then walk out. And while he was in line, we would just sit there and people watch. And I don't know if you've ever been in Liberty Airport in Newark.
Can't say that I have.
Yeah, you can do some serious people watching there.
Yeah.
We used to make fun of people. So it's low key bullying without actually telling them. But
people are fascinating though.
It is.
Yeah, I worked for a theater at one point, and I would handle a lot of like behind the scenes stuff. I'd go up in the balcony and I'd be sitting there watching the events go on, just watching people, how they interact. And you'd be surprised what people do when they don't know anyone's looking.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just weird. So, I mean, you learn a lot, man. It's life skills that you learn. You have to learn on your own, but you can learn them by observing people that you respect. There's so many people that, I mean, I could go back and make a list of people that I respected and find 2 or 3 characteristics that they had that I admired. And I tried to be that when I was in position that they were in, a leadership position. I tried to emulate what they were doing. So, you put your own, it's like a recipe, right? I had recipes that are handed down from my grandmother to my mom, and then I have it, but then you always add something to make it your own.
Absolutely.
Kind of the same kind of thing. So, speaking of food, I got to talk about this. I got this inside me, man. This is 2 days. This has been brewing. I haven't talked to anybody about this. You're the first one.
Okay.
I kind of hinted to my kid, but he didn't seem interested. We were watching the football game yesterday, and I saw the commercial, and it came on, and I'm like, I have to have this. So I was watching TV Saturday afternoon. I was just trying to catch a little bit of some college football.
Yep.
And I saw a commercial for Wendy's.
Okay.
Wendy's has this new burger. It's the cheddar, some kind of cheddar
pretzel pub burger.
My God.
So good.
You had it?
Well, I had the chicken version.
Okay, so the
burger, bun. The bun is like a pretzel bun.
Yeah, those are my favorite.
And it's just so good.
My wife buys the pretzel buns at the local store here, the local grocery store, and whenever they have them, she'll get them. We make burgers with them, and they're amazing. And I saw this burger with the liquid cheese and
there's some kind of sauce on it.
Yes, I don't even care what it is, man. I want it.
It's really good. Yeah.
I've been keeping this in for like 2 days. I'm like, I'm gonna go to Wendy's, like trying to find the right opening.
Wendy's isn't bad. Look, everything in balance, everything in moderation.
Yep.
I go to Wendy's, maybe once a month. That's my go-to.
Is it?
For fast food, for sure.
We have limited options around here, around this area. Like we have McDonald's, and there's a Wendy's in Plainfield too, but we don't have pretty much anything else. You have the local pizza joints, which are always great, but sometimes you want some variety. Now, McDonald's right now has spicy nuggets. I'm a huge nugget. I
Yeah,
love
I
chicken
keep hearing
nuggets,
about
man.
spicy nuggets.
Spicy
I'm
nuggets
gonna
are
give them to my
fire.
kid and see
Literally,
what
I gave
he thinks.
I gave one to my son. After last week's show. I had Kevin on last week.
Yeah.
And I went home. I was like, you know what? I'm starving. I go to McDonald's. I'm getting spicy nuggets. That's it.
Yeah.
Because I'm a huge fan of McDonald's nuggets. Huge. It's like my favorite thing to eat there.
Really?
And I'd rather have nuggets than anything else. And I saw the spicy nuggets. I'm like, I gotta have those. So I went and I got home and I was eating it. And my son's like, are you having nuggets? I'm like, yeah, but I was trying to do the cool dad thing. I'm like, I don't know, man. They're spicy nuggets. I don't know if you're gonna like them. And I was like, you know what? Here, have one. He's like, you sure? I'm like, yeah, they're not that spicy. No, they were super spicy.
Really?
Yeah. And I gave it to my kid.
I want to
and he ate
introduce
it.
variety into my son's life because he definitely has his few favorites, and nuggets from McDonald's is one of them. Like,
Nuggets are the best, man. But the spicy
I think
nuggets,
that's how I can get him away from him, though.
you have to be a spicy lover, food lover, to have those nuggets, or else they're not going to work for you.
Yeah, well, he's half Spanish, so he's probably gonna like.
All right, so yeah, then do it, man. get like the 6-piece though, just case. But if not, then you can eat them all. Get the 10-piece, and
yeah,
eat them all. They're awesome.
I used to put red hot on my chicken nuggets.
Yes. Oh my god,
so good.
The buffalo sauce at McDonald's too.
Got it.
They have. Remember when it was just like barbecue or honey mustard?
That was it.
Now there's like 18 flavors you can get. It's awesome. But I shouldn't be eating that stuff, and my wife's going to be yelling at me because I'm probably going to Wendy's to get that sandwich on the way home tonight.
Like in like an hour.
She was gonna make some. She was making dinner, but I was like, no, I gotta go. I gotta go talk to Pete before the show. We got stuff to talk about. She was kind of like heating something up for me. I'm like, no, I'll eat later. But I'm totally going to Wendy's tonight.
Yeah.
Now that I've been talking about this burger, it's happening.
I probably shouldn't say this, but Wendy's is gonna get like this flood of people special orders. But if you ask them that you don't want salt, you say, look, I don't want salt. I'm allergic to salt. Whatever you have to tell them.
Yep.
They'll cook you a nice fresh batch of fries because they have to.
Yeah.
And then when you get to the window, just ask for some salt. You can put your own salt on there.
Or
because there's nothing worse than just fries that have been sitting there for a little bit.
And they have the salt. Yeah, they're too salty.
Or they're too salty.
McDonald's
I just want
does
nice, fresh, crispy fries.
So I don't like Wendy's fries that much. They used to have their fries used to be banging, but ever since they changed them, I'm not a fan.
Yeah, they don't seem like the hand cut ones that they used to.
I don't like them. I like the old Wendy's fries from before they went to the hand cut fries when they used to have just a regular. Their fries were the best, but now McDonald's takes a burgers. I'll go to Burger King for a burger over McDonald's, but chicken nuggets and fries, I'm McDonald's all day. Wendy's, I like their chicken sandwiches.
Yeah.
So it used to be you get the 4 for $4, but now it's 5 for $5.
Yeah.
Or 4 for $5. I'm not sure.
Something.
Yeah. So
they have breakfast.
I haven't had the Wendy's breakfast yet. This morning, I like. You know what I like? People sleep on Cumberland Farms breakfast, man. Now it's been since COVID started. There hasn't been as much selection. Like I love going to Cumbies on the way to work. Like today, I had to get gas, and I have the Smart Pay app, and I get 10 cents off a gallon with the Smart Pay app. So I go in there, and I like their hash browns because they're big. They're like the flat ones, like Dunkin' Donuts, but they're way bigger, and they get more.
Wow.
Dunks charges you like $2, and you get like 6 little tiny hash browns. But Cumbies get like 6 or 7, and they're huge, and they're toasted, and they're so good.
I don't know. It's been a while since I've been to a Cumberland Farms, but I do remember them.
Their iced coffee is banging too. I love it.
Yeah. They actually, I think they've expanded a little bit, doing gas stations now. Like, they were just convenience stores.
Yeah, they have gas stations. Like the one I go to in Quaker Hill I love it there because I go get gas, and everything's automated. I don't have to do anything. I just enter the pump number in my app.
Nice.
And I automatically it turns the pump on. I get 10 cents off, and away we go.
Nice.
And I go inside, get my iced coffee, get my breakfast sandwich. They didn't have hash browns today. I was a little disappointed, but they did have I always get the sausage, egg, and cheese on a English muffin. It's so good.
Is it?
Yes. My kids like the ices there because they're like 99 cents, and you get this gigantic icy. So
huge ices with all kinds of flavors.
Oh yeah, they mix them all up. We did it yesterday on the way home from lacrosse practice.
Yeah.
But yeah, Cumbies is good, man. I like their breakfast sandwich. People sleep on that, man, because their food in general is good.
Yeah, I even had a little personal pizza one time. It was pretty good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I'm a pizza connoisseur kind of guy.
Yeah.
And I have an aversion to gas station pizza, man. I don't know. But so one other thing that I do on the show, I have a thing called the Great Debate. This is our fourth time we've done it.
Sure.
And last week, I think we talked about movies. It was the greatest movie of all time. I had some great inputs. Admittedly, I kind of forgot about it this week because I've been so busy with everything. And I thought about it this morning. I'm like, holy cow, I didn't put a great debate up. So I didn't get as many inputs as I would like to, because this is actually a pretty good. You and I actually went back and forth a little bit. No, it wasn't. Did you and I talk about it this morning? No, we didn't. I think it was one of my other buddies. We talked about it this morning. So my great debate question was today, who is the greatest superhero of all time? Like, there's a million of them to choose from. I didn't realize how many of them until I started looking at it. Like, it's a clear choice for me. Batman's always been the greatest. Then one of my buddies, that's the guy we were talking to, my buddy Matt, said, he's not a superhero. He doesn't have any superpowers. So what constitutes a superhero? Do you have to have superpowers? You know what his superpower was? He was a billionaire. He was like the most eligible bachelor in Gotham City. And he was proactive fighting crime. Like all these other guys, they're like reactive.
Yeah.
Like, oh, something happened. Help, Superman. And he'd fly there and
he's super humble too. All humility, because he didn't need to be known.
Right.
He was like, I'm just going to do this.
I'm going to do it. No one needs to know who I am. Bruce Wayne.
City.
Yeah. And he was proactive. Like, he went out and tried to find the Joker to stop him before he did something stupid. You know, he would go out and find guys instead of waiting for something to happen. He was super proactive about it. All the other superheroes, they're just waiting for something to happen.
Yeah.
So that's why, right? The Hulk is like the worst. He had the coolest superpowers ever, but by the time he reacted to anything, it was too late. It was already happened.
Yeah.
He just got mad. Something happened. He gets mad and then turns into the Hulk. But Batman was just Batman. He was always like in the shadows, and he was just waiting for something to happen, and he would stop it way before it happened.
Yeah.
So that's why I think Batman's the coolest, and he didn't need superpowers, right? He didn't need it because he was just a badass. Like, he had all the cool toys.
Yeah.
And he was like the kung fu master. He would like beat your ass without even.
Yeah, he really was.
You didn't need. If you shot him, he like moved out of the way.
Because he had all kind of special gadgets.
Because he was a billionaire. Because he had all the money.
Yeah, he had all the money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the best.
What was his guy's name there? He had a guy.
Alfred.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like Alfred was really controlling the scenes.
So let's go a little bit deeper on this.
Yeah.
So we'll say we're talking about Batman. Like, I'm a Batman guy. I have been since I was a little kid. So there's been several Alfreds, right? Because you had the Alfred from the 60s TV show, the British dude. And then you had Alfred from the movies, from the Tim Burton movie. I think it was Michael Caine, was it? Was it Michael Caine? And then the last couple, it was Morgan Freeman. And I thought Morgan Freeman was pretty awesome. Like,
I didn't see it.
He's pretty awesome at everything he does.
I have to say I didn't see it.
I think Morgan Freeman could probably be good at everything.
You probably picked a topic that I don't have as much talking points on.
All right. But I mean, I saw a lot of people just, instead of picking the superhero, a lot of people try to argue with me about Batman not being a superhero.
Yeah, yeah.
So the only other superhero I got commented on was Nightshade. I'm like, dude, that's like the most obscure, like, oh, Gambit is the best superhero. Nightshade is like Nightcrawler. Yeah. Nightcrawler. He's like he turns into some weird. I think he's one of the X-Men.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they're all like millennial superheroes. X-Men.
Yeah.
To me, they're like whiny superheroes. I'm not a fan. Like, give me like any of the Super Friends, man, any day.
Well, Wolverine's pretty tough, no?
Wolverine's all right. But yeah, but here's the thing with Wolverine. He's like the anti X-Men, because he didn't even want to be part of the X-Men. He was like doing his own thing, man. Yeah. So he didn't even want to be part of the X-Men. He was like, you guys are a bunch of babies, and I don't want any part of this. You guys are losers.
Yeah.
But he was like kind of the cool.
So he's the one patriot.
Yeah, he was the one the one guy that you just like, all right, cool. I kind of like Wolverine because he's not down with the the whole establishment. So, but I like the Super Friends, right? Because you always, like, with superhero people, you always have like DC and Marvel.
Yeah. Right.
Because like Marvel, I like Spider-Man and Deadpool. I mean, who doesn't like Deadpool?
Yeah.
That Deadpool is pretty badass.
Yeah.
But I grew up with Batman, watching the TV show, the comic books. That Batman was my guy, so I kind of like invested my childhood in to be in Batman. So I kind of knew like a lot of stuff about him, and I always admired him because of the way he was. Like I said, he was proactive in fighting crime, and he was always about doing good stuff, and he was selfless. So
Superman was pretty awesome.
Superman was cool. Like, I think I turned the Superman page, like the corner of being a Superman guy, when Christopher Reeve made that movie.
Yeah.
Because I was a little kid. I was like 7 or 8 when Superman came out, the movie, and we went to see it with my friends, and it was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So that's Superman. Like the new Superman, I'm not down with it. The new guy, Henry Cavill.
You know way more about this than I do.
I don't know. I'm not even. God, I feel like a nerd.
I'm coming. No, it's coming. Right. I got a 3.5-year-old son.
Yeah.
All this is coming.
Yeah, I kind of like the superhero. Like I'm not an Avengers guy. Like people are like, oh, the Avengers. I mean, I liked it, but I still haven't seen like the last one, Infinity War, or whatever, the last one where they all died.
Yeah.
I haven't even seen that. It's been out for like 2 years, and I've never seen it.
Interesting.
Yep. The last one I watched was I haven't even seen like Captain America: Winter Soldier. I haven't even seen that.
Yeah.
I like what's the one Guardians of the Galaxy. Like I really enjoyed that, and I kind of went and read a little of the comic books because I thought they were cool. But other than that, I mean, comics have changed ever since Disney kind of bought them.
Mm-hmm.
I've kind of lost interest in it because Disney commercializes everything. As much of a Disney guy as I am, I just think they kind of ruin when they get their hands in it because it becomes too commercial. And then things change. Like Star Wars, when they got their hands in Star Wars, I wasn't happy about the whole Star Wars thing. Because again, I grew up in the 70s and the 80s when Star Wars was big, and it still is. But like I was like the Star Wars era in my youth, so I'm kind of a low key Star Wars nerd. So I was very apprehensive to see any of the sequels.
Yeah,
but I actually ended up liking like most, if not all, like all of them except like 1 or 2. So a lot of people like hate all the sequels. Like they're so anti
Star Wars.
Yeah, like it's like the original 3 and that's it.
Yeah.
You can't any of the other the prequel sequels. Nope.
Yeah.
So I'm not that anal about it. So it is what it's entertainment, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I get it. I can't really say that, especially since I've been building a business, I haven't had any time for entertainment of that sort. I haven't had the time. I just haven't made the time.
Like, I mean, besides COVID happening and not going to the movies because of COVID, it feels like something you took for granted, like being able to go to the movies. Like you can't go to the movies now.
Yeah.
So like I've been waiting for Top Gun to come out because it's my favorite. It's the greatest movie ever made.
I wonder if we're going to be able to go back to the
movies. Well, you can go to the movies. It's open on the weekends here.
Okay.
You can go. Like some movies or theaters are open all the time now.
Yeah.
The ours here in Griswold, in Lisbon, down the road here, they're open on the weekends, I think.
Okay.
But I don't even hear about any movies being released ever.
Yeah.
Because it's like Halloween time. So I want to go like see There was supposed to be a new Halloween movie released.
Yeah.
Where's that at? Top Gun 2 was supposed to be out in June. Now we have to wait till July of next year.
A lot of things got pushed back.
That was the worst thing about COVID to me was Top Gun. I have to wait another year for Top Gun.
I feel like it's, like sapped people's motivation. They feel like, well, I can always use COVID as an excuse why we don't put this out. And most people are going to understand that.
I guess. But like,
and push the movie out. Just go for it. They should have done it.
If it wasn't for COVID, I wouldn't probably be here doing this. Chris and Ray probably wouldn't be doing their thing.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, COVID kind of gave me more creative ideas. So
interesting. Yeah, COVID's been good for my company and just the stuff I've been doing too. So I guess I feel though for those people who it's devastated because it has impacted some people. So
I have several friends that have their own businesses.
Yeah,
and luckily they've come through for the most part. Mm-hmm. I mean, everyone took a loss, but for the most part, my friends have done well. They've done okay, and they're still in business. But it's just people that I feel bad for that they can't hang on with all these restrictions, and they just can't do it.
Yeah,
especially the craft beer industry. Speaking of that, every person I've talked to, every brewery I've talked to, I've kind of that's one of the questions I asked everybody was, how did you manage the COVID, and what kind of things did you do to make sure you stayed afloat?
Can I guess how they did?
Sure.
I'm guessing they crushed it.
They did.
People drink.
But at first, they weren't sure.
Yeah.
Right? Because they had to lay employees off because you couldn't go to the breweries. You could still brew beer and distribute it, but you couldn't have people at your brewery. Even now, there's some places they aren't open.
So they actually cut costs.
Yeah.
And probably increased sales.
Probably.
People are drinking more. They're at home. What else are they going to do?
But the thing is, with most of these smaller places that I go to that I like to patronize, they're the people that they hire, they're close to, and it was hard for them to lay these people off and tell them, I'm sorry, I can't afford to keep you here, keep you on, even though I'd love to. I just can't do it because
Yeah.
it's affecting the bottom line. And that's kind of where I feel bad for them in that sense, because, I think that's where most of the damage, I mean, yes, anytime 210,000 people die of something, it's
Yeah.
terrible. It's always terrible. But I think the aspect of small businesses and the mental health aspect, we kind of talked about that earlier.
Mm.
The kids need to be like, the kids going to school. They need to be around other kids, man. Like the whole herd mentality thing.
I think that's the biggest part of education now.
Yeah.
It really, it's not about information. I don't even know that it ever was about information, but
Social development.
yeah, it's all about social development, critical thinking, and learning how to they're getting into like emotional management now,
Right. And
how to
it's
develop your emotional intelligence.
my kids liked, at first it was kind of cool because we were doing distance learning and I have to go to school. I'm
Yeah.
sitting at home in pajamas but now they're both like, put me back in school, please. I hate this distance learning.
Yeah.
The only cool thing about it is they get to sleep in an extra hour.
Yeah.
That's like the only cool thing about it. So, so before we go, let's talk a little bit about our joint venture that we're doing with us and with Do Not Sports, with News Rocky, and here at SNSN.
I can't talk about superheroes, but I can talk a lot about that.
Let me tell everybody what they can expect from Just a Guy with a Beer over the next couple months.
Sure. So really it's that's going to be up to you. You're the content creator. I'm just here to support it. Essentially what's been happening is that my company, Ideal Solutions, has formed a partnership with Wolverine Media, which is, we're actually in their studio now here in Jewett City, Connecticut. And he's been doing great for many years, community radio station, does some internet radio too, stuff like that. They have a nice app where you can download SNSN. You can find them at snsnonline.com. Kind of see what that's all about. But we formed a partnership with them to really help to grow their company a little bit, and take it to another level. So that was sort of happening simultaneously as I met some of the guys in the podcast network. Just a Guy with a Beer, Do Not Sports, and now the newest edition, News Rocky. So all these guys just coming together, and we're creating like this network of podcasts and internet radio shows. So what's coming next is really just putting out more content, better content for you guys. It's about, when I get involved in anything, I always tell folks that it's all about the listeners. It's all about the market. They'll speak to you. They'll let you know whether or not it's worthwhile. And how does that happen in a podcast? It happens by downloading, right? Going wherever you can find the podcast at online. Go to justaguyWithAbeer.com and you'll find out exactly how to download and listen to the podcast.
By the way, all of my episodes are available on my website on justaguyWithAbeer.com. On the homepage, every single episode is listed in numerical order. So all you do is click on it and it'll open your browser and open up your player and you can listen to that right there. So
yeah. So let us know what you think. I think that's the most important thing. It's not just pushing content that we think is interesting, but what people want to hear more of, right? There's a lot of things that can be talked about, specifically around beer. Scott, you have so much great information. I learned a lot just from this podcast.
That's awesome. That's what I try to do. That's what I want to do. It's one of the things I want to do besides help my friends in the craft beer industry, is to educate my friends and to educate people who may not know or just knew, even not giving the word of mouth. Hey, my buddy does this podcast and somebody else watches, and then they start tell their friends and they watch, like the old commercial or so on and so on and so on. So that's kind of what I want to do. I mean, I love the feedback I get from my listeners. I love, my dad is my biggest critic.
Yeah.
My wife is one of my biggest critics, but between my wife and my dad is where I get most of my ideas, because they give me honest feedback. You know what I mean? Like they're not worried about hurting my feelings, which is cool, good and bad.
Yeah.
But I like hearing what they have to say, because it makes me think about something like, hey, instead of doing this next week, why don't you do this? It gives me, maybe I won't do exactly what they want to do, but it gets my gears turning to something I can try. You know what I mean? So next week I'll try something else, or I'll just have some kind of a different like the great debate. Is there something else to talk about?
Yeah.
Instead of just talking about beer the entire hour, talk about other stuff, right? Because what do people sit around? They talk about what when they drink beer?
All kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
News,
I hang out with
politics, sports, the weather.
I try not to dabble in politics too much because it's a very sensitive subject in America right now.
Yeah.
I leave that to Kevin. When he was on my show last week, we kind of did. Yeah. News Rocky is the fake News Rocky.
Yeah, his Facebook page went up today.
I know, I love it. It looks great. So
at News Rocky.
Yeah, go check out my buddy Kevin. He's News Rocky. It's on Facebook. He's gonna have a web page, I guess, soon.
That's coming soon.
So it's no BS politics talk every day from 10 to 12 here on SNSN, and he's going to be streaming his show on his Facebook page. So check him out. Check out my really good friends Chris and Ray at Do Not Sports. They give great recipes. I have a little segment on. Did you hear my segment the other night?
I did. Yeah,
it was kind of cool. I loved it. Yeah, we talk a little bit of sports. I get like 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Chris and I like to brag about the Yankees, which the Yankees are starting here in about 20 minutes.
Okay.
So that's going to be good. Yeah. The ALDS game 1 tonight. So, but it's kind of cool. I like what we're all doing. I'm glad that we formed this partnership. We got a little team.
Yeah. Who knows what's going to happen, right? Yeah. I think that just us coming together, something good is going to happen, right? When you coalesce around an idea, a vision, it's a lot easier to make it happen when it's a group effort.
Right.
And it's just, one person pressing forward. So we're going to see what we can do. I'm just here to provide some tools, resources. They have some developers who are on standby, ready to support you guys. That's what we're here to do.
And I think it's cool because I lean heavily on Ray and Chris a lot for ideas, and Mike. Mike's my technical guy. When I need some tech support, I always call Mike, and he's always quick to give me some good feedback on my show. Mm-hmm. But Chris and Ray, I get a lot of ideas from them. If I have a question about something, hey, what do you guys do for this?
Yeah,
and we exchange a lot of ideas. So I think that's really cool. I think that's a sign of a really good team, that we can share ideas and support each other. So I think we got a pretty good thing going here. I'm excited to see where it takes us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. So thanks for coming on the show tonight, Pete. I appreciate it. This has been Just a Guy with a Beer, episode number 14. Thanks to my sponsors, these guys, Brewing, Epicure Brewing, Unify, Mr. Beardo, Beard Oil, and Tattoo Lotion. That stuff's brand new. I got it right here. I just got a new bottle of it the other day. The tattoo juice, you put that on your tattoo, it freshens it up. It smells amazing. The beard oil is awesome. I use it every day. It's great smelling. So he's one of my new sponsors. So thank you, Dana, for believing in my show. I believe in your product. And I can't forget GNS Automotive, man. GNS Auto Sales, my boy Pat. He's been with me since day one, man. He's my ride or die. So I'm glad he's going to be staying with me, and then the rest of my sponsors are going to stick around too. So they're with me. My ride, like I said, my ride or dies, man. They're going to be here through thick and thin. So it makes me happy because they're friends.
That's what it's all about, man. Your sponsors are so important. Those are the two. Exactly. It's all about sponsors and listeners.
And help, and they're helping me, and I'm helping them by spreading the word and always saying great things about the great things that they're doing too. So again, this is Just a Guy with a Beer, episode number 14, and this is October 5th, right?
Jeez, already,
right? Can't believe it. Seems like
October 5th.
We just went to quarantine 2 weeks ago. It's been the longest year of all times because we haven't really been busy. So thanks again for listening. I know it's getting a little bit late. You guys want to go and go. I know you want to go watch Monday Night Football. The Pats are on, so I lost a lot of viewers here locally. So Pats are on tonight, so they're about to lose.
Well, isn't there a quarterback not
Cam
playing?
Newton's not playing. He's got the Rona. Yeah, he's got COVID, so he's not playing.
Shout out to him and his family.
Yeah, I hope he gets better. Absolutely.
I'm not a Pats fan, but I can empathize.
No, I don't want anybody sick, man. So, so thanks again for listening. Tune in next week, this time next Monday, and I'll fill you in on the guests and our topic for the great debate. So have a good week, everybody. Please drink responsibly, party safely, wear your PPE, and respect each other, and definitely don't beer shame your friends. Take care, and I'll see you next week.